Hello and welcome back to Loop Create 2022. I'm Juba. I'm a DJ, a radio host, and sometimes documentary and podcast maker. I'm also adding producer to my title as well. And I'm going to be hosting today's Loop Create conversation with Gafachi. And we're going to be looking into the idea of creation and collaboration. And before we get into this conversation, I'm going to have a little teaser to show you a bit more about Gafachi. So enjoy the video.
From Accra to Labadi, they ride in trotro. Wabe no koni wabayi, when ya mam wata wa no confuse. Trotro, 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 trotro.
I dey my zone.
Trotro, trotro,
I dey my zone.
trotro, trotro,
I dey my zone.
trotro, trotro,
I dey my zone.
trotro.
So you've seen the video, so let me introduce Gafachi himself. So Gafachi is a visionary and ever-evolving artist. He has an experimental approach to music, which naturally includes electronic influences as well. So his music is very much in his DNA actually. His dad is a member or former member of the Nigerian Juju music group Chief Commander Ebenezer Obey and the Interformers band. And Gafachi came across music production himself in senior high school. And since then, his music has evolved and become a globally renowned sound. So he's particularly recognized for his sound, which is highly influenced by Asokpo music, which is a dance genre which was very popular in Ghana from around the 1990s, early 1990s to early 2000s. And so from being mainly in the studio, he's also moved very much to the front of the scenes. And he's played sets at renowned festivals such as Sonar Festival in Lisbon, Fusion Festival in Germany, CTM, and also Gafachi has collaborated with artists like Amaray, Branco, Fever Ray, and more. And he's here with me today. How you doing, Gafachi?
I'm feeling great.
Good, good. And before we quickly get to this conversation, I just want to remind everyone to check out the code of conduct, just to make sure you guys are all, doing the right thing. And also make sure that you post questions around the conversation as well. So I'm going to ask a few questions to start off with, and then we're going to go to the audience questions afterwards. So Gafachi, we've established that you're good today.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right, so going straight into your music. So you had a really prolific career, and actually in your early days, you were very much more in the sort of mainstream side of Ghanaian music. You're responsible for quite a few pop tunes or Afro pop tunes, shall we say. So looking at your time where you started and where you are now, how was your career? How was your creation process developed?
I think right now I feel very confident when I'm making music compared to when I started, which is obvious. And now I have more reach and I can reach out to people that I want to collaborate with to make music that I want to put out. So I think that's the difference now. Before, back then, I would have to wait for an artist to tell me the song is ready. We are putting it out on this date before I know that I have something that's coming out. But now I can make music and just put it out anytime I want.
So was it like a conscious move from yourself to establish your own independent sort of creation process?
Yeah, because freedom is very important to me, you know. I think it's important to just about anyone, you know. So right now, where I am right now is a place that I think every true artist want to be at, you know.
That, yeah, I guess freedom, as you said, is very important to everyone, and in music creation, it's definitely something as well. And looking to music creation, so can you give us or explain to us your creative process, and what do you prioritize when it comes to creating?
For me, rhythm, because I feel like my job as a producer is to deconstruct rhythms. So rhythms that I came upon that I'm influenced by, I don't like to stick to the normal style of, let's say, if we have a traditional style like Malogo and it has a pattern in which it goes, like in which you make this music. I like to deconstruct it, just take elements from it and make it my own. So pretty much That's my process in the beginning when I'm making music. Then when I have the like the foundation of the music, I'll start thinking of things I can add, sometimes melodies. I don't do too much melodies. It's just a few tracks that I have that is very melodic, but my main focus is to let people be immersive in the rhythm bit of the music that I make. So I technically use like rhythms, like melodies.
And you're based in Accra, in Ghana.
Yeah,
So how does like your local surroundings also influence
it's
this?
very, very important. I think I've been saying this to most of my friends, like I don't see myself living anywhere else apart from Ghana, because I feel like when I go away from Ghana, it's gonna be very difficult for me to really keep like keep myself grounded to the sound that I'm pushing, because like where I live is it's like a metropolis. People know each other, everyone is from the same place, everyone have like their big family homes, and when you wake up, it's always like, okay, you hear someone saying some wild stuff I can't say on air right now, and I'll be like, okay, this sounds very, very good. Let me take what they've said and try and use it in music. Like Trotro. If you hear the song Trotro, I'm saying stuff like from Accra to Labadi, we ride in Trotro. We have nothing to eat, so we gotta go to town and go and hustle and make some money. And this is like the day-to-day life experience of people. So imagine I was living and I was kind of detached from the realities of what the average Ghanaian experiences. I don't think I'm gonna be able to put all this message in the music. So my environment is very important to me.
I think that's also really interesting because I think we've often discussed this that as African artists, a lot of the time when it comes to progressing, the default or knee jerk reaction is to want to move away to like come to Europe or North America. And it's important for you to like maintain that connection to like your
Home.
home because that's
Yeah.
where your inspiration comes from.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's very important for me to stay in Ghana.
And actually, interesting going off that idea, like you are very much an internationally recognized artist, but you're based and you're very firmly keen on staying in Accra. So, like, what has really revolutionized your music practice and your ability to reach out and reach crowds across the globe?
Internet,
Yeah.
internet. Like I utilize internet, and you've seen me. Like always behind my computer is like my nightclub, is like my everything. And the internet allows me to connect to people in places where I would need a lot of money to reach these people. So the internet is the most important thing in my whole setup. Without the internet, I think now internet is so important to a point that you could actually make music online and you don't even have to have like physical doors and stuff. So I feel like the internet is becoming some like a very important tool for a creative, and that's something I really like to utilize in my whole setup.
The internet is a really big space. So when you say internet, what exactly do you mean? Can we like dig into more specific
The
spaces
tech,
on the internet,
the tech, the tech in general also consists of the networks,
like
like
SoundCloud,
the
Instagram?
SoundCloud, the
Yeah.
Instagrams, the PayPal's, the Mailchimps. So like me, I collect a lot of data of people who buy my music because I just want to be connected to the consumer. I don't want to be detached from the consumer where I don't know who the consumer is. So internet allows me to do stuff like this. Because imagine back in the day when we had no internet, you have to do everything by mail, and see how cumbersome this would be. So the internet makes everything easy.
It opens up doors. You can put your music on SoundCloud, on Bandcamp, and then
Yeah.
like reach the world. And kind of going off into the idea of collaboration, whilst also looking at creation still. Once again, the internet has probably opened up a lot of space for you to collaborate around the world. But also, when it comes to collaboration, when does that come into your creative process? Would you start thinking about collaboration?
I think about collaboration when I feel like I'm hitting a roadblock. When I feel like I don't have the skill to execute the stuff that I want to do. So let's say I'm making music and I know my strength is not in creating melodies. I would think about a collaborator who would bring the melodic bits to the production that I'm doing. So that's when I try to think about collaborators. And the part, and when I don't have to do this, I don't invite collaborators.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So when I
yeah.
need you, that's interesting.
No. It's not when I need you, because as an artist, you need to know your limitations too, because you see a lot of artists who are not good at something, but just because they want to be the guy doing everything, they wouldn't like seek collaborations, you know. But me, I know that okay, at this point I can't go any further, and
Okay,
I know
yeah.
who is the best person to take it to the next level.
Yeah, that's interesting, the idea of knowing your limitations. So what do you learn from collaboration, actually, the process?
The process, I learn a lot about myself, things that I can take in, and things that I can't tolerate. And most parts, I think collaboration helps me to shape the way um, collaboration helps me to like get in touch with myself more. Like I know the things I don't want to do. I know when to stay back and not ask my collaborator for things that within that time they won't be able to give me and all that. So it's actually like a life skill process you go through when you are collaborating with an artist.
Interesting. Speaking about collaborating with artists, recently I think someone DJ Khaled said that if he was working with Drake, he would never say no to him. Like everything goes with Drake. So interestingly, that kind of sparked a conversation around criticizing certain people and is there anyone you can't criticize? So from your side, when it comes to collaboration, how do you go around that sort of criticism process, and how important is it to be able to have that dialogue?
If I'm hitting you up or contacting you to collaborate with me and I know I've reached my limitations, I trust you enough to invite you to join my creative process. So I can't criticize a lot. I can only give like feedbacks. Oh, you know, you did this line here, and I feel like when you add a layer to what you've done, it's gonna be more exciting. You know, so that's the far I could go about. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I don't like what you've done, and I think we could work on something different, or maybe next time. You know, and I'm very straightforward with like things. I don't beat around the bush.
When do you get to a point when you have to say no as an artist, as a collaborator?
When you are being asked to do things which within a specific time is not conducive, that's when I say no.
Okay.
And
Okay.
sometimes I say no just because I'm human,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for you, when it comes to collaboration, how when do you know like when a collaboration is done?
That's a good question. Sometimes the collaborator tells me it's good and I trust their opinion and I run with it. Sometimes I feel it. It's like you can't explain this. You know, music is a feeling. Like it has to do with feeling more. You know, so yeah, like you feel it. It's not something I can explain.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's just an inkling.
Yeah.
I think we have a few questions come in. It's beautiful. So I'm going to go to some of the first questions. But I appreciate that actually, because it was really interesting, especially the idea of like you just have a feeling, you can't say when a collaboration is done, it's just there. But from creation to collaboration, it's been interesting to see how honest you've been about the idea that like sometimes you just need someone to add something that you can't add to your own song, and that's when collaboration comes into you, because I guess everyone has their different start points. So we have Jewel Pack. Sorry, my eyesight is not that great from over here, even though I'm wearing glasses. So he said, well, they said, thanks for the conversation. You're welcome. And how do you collaborate? So Gafachi, this is for you now. How do you collaborate with other music creators who are in different cultural spaces, music spaces, and so on?
Trust. You know, when I'm collaborating with an artist who is from, let's say, a country where he speaks a language I don't understand, I just have to trust them, because let's say you are working with a rapper and the rapper gives like 32 bars and he's saying stuff in foreign language, and it's not like you can translate the vocals, you know, it's not like a text. You just have to like go with the flow, because there are certain songs I listen to and I don't understand the language, but if it feels good right here, like I know, okay, this is good.
That's until you get cancelled for releasing something that's really offensive. Actually, to add on to that, then in that case, you collaborate with people from so many different spaces. Do you have different approaches when actually approaching people from different places? So if you're dealing with another African artist or another or European artist or someone from, say, India, like, do you have different ways of approaching different landscapes?
Yeah, I'm honest. I go straight to the point. I tell you what I want. I don't try to do small talks. You know, I go straight to the point in the first point of contact, like, hey, I like your stuff that you are doing. You know, I think you've heard about me, or maybe you've not. If you haven't heard about me, this is the stuff that I'm doing. And yeah, I just try to be very transparent as much as I can.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and I think transparency is a universal language.
Yeah, true. Being honest,
Yeah.
direct and upfront. Or Google Translate. That's also a universal language these
But
days.
Google, I don't trust Google Translate though.
Sometimes. Okay, I've got another question. An anonymous person has asked, what are the difference? So I guess going on from this point, what are the differences in making music in Ghana compared to making music when you're in Europe?
It's the same. But over here, people are very, in Europe, let's say, people are very like, you know, but in back home, people really can find time to vibe. People could come to the studio the whole day and just hang with you, you know, till you come up with something. And, you know, especially when you're collaborating and when you're doing it alone, I think Ghana affords me the opportunity to be laid back and not feel like I need to, you know, act like I'm busy or something. In Europe, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, we have that kind of like
Yeah.
timing
Stuff.
being on time.
Yeah, being on
Got to get there
time.
early even.
Yeah, but you need soul sometimes.
You need a bit of vibe, a bit
Exactly,
of looseness.
yeah.
It's the weather. Well, for now. Okay, so another person's asked, how do you think someone who doesn't know how to play an instrument can continue their music production? Did I ask this question? Can we melt talent and passions in like in the same pot?
Talent and passion.
So
and-
like you have the passion for it, but not necessarily the actual knowledge. That's what I'm assuming that means. But either way, like how can you get into music production if you can't play an instrument? They also said, I love you, dude.
I love you too. Whoever it is.
Whoever it is, yeah.
Yeah, I love you too. Yeah, so I don't play an instrument.
There's your answer.
Yeah, I don't play an instrument. I know all the chords. Like I know up to the 9th chords, to the 11th, to the 6th. Like I know the basics, the fundamentals. But I can't play like a normal, like professional would do. And I feel like when you're getting into music production, everything is a feeling. There are some points you get to you can actually tell that this is not for me. Like I'm not good, you know? And that may sound very harsh, but like you get this feeling a lot, and sometimes you don't have to believe it. If you are persistent, you keep going on and until you become good. And with regards to the passion and talent thing, I feel like you need a lot of passion to be able to stay talented. You know, because you can be talented and you don't have the passion, and at some point you just feel like you arrive, you know. But when you have the passion, you are always open to learning, you know. So putting the two together, I think, is very important. You can't do without the other. You know?
I hear what you're saying because I'm quite a good writer, but I haven't got a passion for it, so I don't do it. See? No, but I get what you mean. Like, it's nice to hear that you actually don't play an instrument formally, but you're such an amazing producer. So I'm sure whoever's like listening to the answer is going to be very encouraged to think that, you know, it's not a sort of a stopping, a barrier. This is an interesting one. How do you go about potential confrontations in collaboration?
Hey, me, I'm very
You fight.
confrontational.
You fight
bro.
out.
Yeah, so if you bring it, I'll match your energy.
Meet fire with fire.
Yeah,
bring
I'll
up-
match your energy. Like, I don't pretend on that. Like, whatever energy you bring, I'll match it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you ever feel that, like, if there's confrontation, but you know there's a bigger picture, how do you try to almost like salvage a situation, whilst also dealing with confrontation?
I think I've not experienced that too much when it comes to like the creative process, because the way I am is I'll come to you and be very transparent, right? So already what you've added to the music, you know it already. So it's not now that you're gonna make someone feel uncomfortable to a point they gotta say something, you know? And I'm the type that I really know how to take like no for an answer sometimes. It's very good. And some people just don't know how to take no for an answer, and it gets to a point where it spirals into something different. But I don't think I've experienced a lot of confrontation during the creative process because I'm very flexible. As much as I like to put my ideas across, I try to be very flexible within because the thing is, I work behind the scenes before I became an artist, you know, so I know how it feels when you are speaking to someone who is like the main guy with an ego. And I know how to relate to someone who is behind the scenes and nobody notices, you know. So I feel like the way I came up really helps me to neutralize all this stuff that people may term as negative energy while being in the creative process.
Yeah, you've been there, you've done it all, you've seen a lot, and I guess there's so many different personality types to navigate in the industry that you kind of have to like almost deal with like avoiding confrontation before it even comes along. Someone also asked, this is quite a nice one, a space for an anecdote. So could you share a collaboration that you really enjoyed or that you're particularly proud of, and why?
The one with Amare.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Wait, can you tell us the name of it?
the song is called Like Water, featuring Amare. She's like one of the biggest Ghanaian artists now. And I got introduced to her by a friend. And I had this, I went to her house and made the beat, and she didn't like it. And I'd had the beat since 2014.
Wow.
Yeah, I made the melody. I couldn't find the kick drum. I don't know what to do with the music. Then when I got introduced to her, I had to, you know, make a beat pack. So I decided, okay, let me just take this melody to her house because I'm the type of producer that likes to be in the same space and create the music. I don't want to send beat packs. So when I went over to her house, I added drums to the melody and everything, but she didn't like, she wasn't into the music. And I'm like, okay. I went back home. I did the whole melody again. Like I rearranged the music, the drums, everything, and I sang the music. Yeah, with my laptop microphone.
You're singing on it?
Yeah.
Ah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So I sang the whole thing with the lyrics and everything, and I'm like, okay, let me hit up Amari. I'm not sure she's gonna like the idea, but let me just try. So I sent it to her, and I'm like, you know, I need you to sing only 4 bars of this lyrics and melody, you know. And she was like, yeah, I'll do it. And she did it, and yeah, the rest is history. It's like one of my biggest songs I've produced, and yeah, it's one of the songs I'm very proud of.
I think when I think of you, that song comes up, and also Banku Dade.
Yeah, Banku
It's
Dade
a-
is
it's
one.
like-
It's a like Banku Dade is one of my notable productions.
Definitely.
Because of how it came about, you know.
Definitely. Do you want to go into how it came about?
Yeah, if you want to.
Tell us.
So Banku Dade, what makes it very notable is after I made the music, there was this lady who sells pastries down like in the studio, like beneath the studio where we are. We were on a story building, and I reached out to her and I'm like, you know what? I really like the cadence of your voice, so can you come up the studio and work with me on a song? She was like, oh, I've never been in the studio. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, no, I just need you to use your voice. So I invited her to the studio, and I had the lyrics and the melody and everything. I'm like, you know what? Say this, you know. I kind of directed her how to make the music, and she did it, and it was nice. And I invited, do you know Jackie? Jackie.
Jackie.
Yeah, she's a female singer from Ghana.
No,
Yeah, she's like one of the biggest female singers from Ghana. Her manager,
I should.
yeah, her manager is actually on Banku Dade. So I
Okay.
invited the manager too because I saw him making video skits, comedy skits online. I'm like, yo, you speak Ghana very fluently, and he happens to be I grew up in the same neighborhood as him, so he kind of gets it. So I also invited him to the studio one evening. He came, we made the music. So these are guys who are not professionally musicians, right? And the music ended up on Netflix, so many like sync opportunities
Yeah.
I had with that music, and yeah, it's amazing. It's very notable.
It's great.
Yeah.
I think it also goes back to your earlier point about being very inspired by your surroundings and why you're always staying in Ghana.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also this is, I guess, related. I feel like everything's related to what you've been saying, but this question came in from Buns. So Buns said, when you collaborate, do you pay someone? Do you already have an hourly rate or another way, or is there an agreement or a compromise that you come up with with the collaborator that is mutually beneficial? So essentially, do you pay the people that you work
No.
with? No. But how do you, I guess, come up with financial agreements or compromises?
I try to be fair. No, I try to be fair. I'm fair. You know, if it's two of us on the publishing, it's a standard rule, 50-50. On the master side, I let the person understand that, you know what, I'm the one that's gonna do most of the heavy lifting, and you know what you brought to the table. And most people don't like to talk about business when they are getting ready to go into the creative process. But me, whilst we are working, I like us to be talking about it too, because it's something that is embedded in everybody's brains, right? And nobody wants to talk about it, but people also want to talk about it. So I have a very friendly way of talking about it while we create. And by the time we are done creating, we already know like what's. And I think it's all boils down to respect. When I collaborate with people, they know, okay, this guy's not gonna come with some, you know, something shady and all that. So when it gets to the point of us splitting percentages, it's never a problem. Yeah.
I think it's really important to discuss that stuff. I think it's a sticking point that often can be quite awkward to deal with, especially if you don't deal with it before you started making the music. So yeah, as you said, it's important to like make sure that conversation is ongoing. So when you finish making a track, there's no sort of like imbalance in what you thought you were going to get out of the process. And this might be slightly similar, but we can expand upon it. So how do you credit your collaborators when distributing music you've made together?
Yeah, I credit them according to what they did on the song. I don't try to steal people out of their own creation. You know, I don't do that. Because it's something I don't take. Like I'm the type that before the music comes out, we've done our paperworks. And I think I need to also speak about this. I think in the past few minutes I've been speaking about being like the facilitator. But when people are also facilitating the end of the collaboration, when they come to me, I try to tell them, hey, this is how I do it, and these are my terms. You know, I'm very straightforward with it. And sometimes the person also one thing too I notice about talking the business side when collaborating is I don't have like a big team. So every collaboration is like a learning process for me. Like there are certain clauses in contract I may not know of, and somebody would bring it, and I'll be like, wow, I never knew this existed. You know, so nice. You know, I think I'll consider this from now on and all that. So I think with everything, if you are open to learning, there are so many things you could like. You will find better ways to handle situations when it comes to business.
Yeah, and also as an independent artist, it's a learning process, right?
Yeah.
Every time you do something, you're kind of picking up skills and like learning little tricks as you go along.
Yeah.
And you might be faking it till you make it. and
Yeah,
suddenly
so
you
many
get-
times. So many times.
People are talking about stuff.
Yeah,
You're
so
like, yeah,
many
yeah,
times.
sure. Writing notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I've been there many a time. But that's the way to do it, right? You
Yeah,
gotta fake till you make
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. I 100% agree with lying. No, I'm joking. Okay, so another question. This is a bit of a curveball. What are your thoughts on drugs in the studio? Are they a session enhancement or a killer?
Go again.
So what are your thoughts on drugs in the studio?
Yeah.
So do they enhance the session or do they kind of like kill the vibe or the creativity?
I can't speak for everybody.
Your son will be watching this one day. So.
Yeah. But what I would say is whatever works for you, just do it.
Yeah.
Don't kill yourself. You know?
You do you.
Yeah, do you.
You do you,
Just
fair
don't
enough.
just don't end up dying, you know?
We don't want that.
No.
Okay, so that's it. You do you, don't die. Okay, so do you think there is space in Ghana, and this is from Nana, do you think there is space in Ghana for producers who try other paths apart from Afrobeat or Afrobeats, e.g. Afro Electra?
Afro electro, like
Yeah.
the stuff that I do. I feel like now the world is becoming very open to Ghana. Ghana has been one of the main destinations for places to be in Africa. and people are coming into the country, and not everybody wants to experience Afrobeats. People want to see different, or they wanna have variety. So I think before it used to be very difficult. Like myself, nobody understood what I was doing, but now I could see people trying things along the lines of what I've done, and it's expanding gradually.
But what challenges do people who want to introduce different sounds into Ghana or Accra in the music scenes, what challenges do they face?
You're not going to get the same love the pop guy will get, and that's like a general rule everywhere, even in Europe, where people are into experimental stuff. You are not going to get the same recognition as, let's say, Justin Bieber. So why I say to creatives who are starting out on a very experimental journey, I tell them, hey, don't try and measure your success to the guys who are doing pop music. Because when you do that, it's like you are not really aware of your niche and what you are very good at. You are just trying to seem like it's cool, but deep down you really don't know what the essence of what you are doing.
Are there any ways, especially right now in like the practical current Ghana or Accra, are there any ways that people like that can find a community?
Yeah. There are communities coming up now. There's Oracle Radio. It's like a community of creatives who are into alternative stuff. There are guys who are also doing stuff now, and it's growing gradually. Gradually, it's growing, but yeah, time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of diversifying the sound, which is always nice. And on diversification, I'm good at this. What can someone's asked, what can male producers, male artists in places like Accra or Ghana do to establish or help establish more women and non-binary producers in the music industry? Maybe not just in Ghana, just in general. Like, what's your opinion on this?
I don't have all the facts, but what I would say is when it comes to female stuff, I think when females look to males to find empowerment, it's like playing into the hands of what patriarchy is already. So I feel like right now there's the opportunity for women to also step up, and a lot of them are stepping up. Like I mentioned, Oracle Radio is founded by a woman, and I mentioned there are spaces that are coming up in Accra, and most of them are owned by women. And they have like initiative to support women and all that. So I mean, that's what I like to see. The man shouldn't be all up in the woman's business like that.
So it's like self-organization, but I guess within anything, we also do need men in these spaces as well. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
So as a man, what do you think the male role is in this space? Like, how can you best support whilst also not dominating and like playing into the patriarchy by being the gatekeeper?
Be a creative and don't let your hormones decide your decisions.
So
Pretty
like
much,
set
yeah.
your ego aside.
Yeah,
Let them-
exactly.
Okay, cool. So her has asked, have you ever dealt with not having the right tools, but yet sharing who you are with the basics? I feel like you
Yeah,
can
that's
relate
what
to
I'm
that.
doing still. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like, I
Don't
don't
be
have
fooled
yeah.
by this.
I don't have a big team. I work with a few people who believe in certain aspects of things that I do, but yeah, I work with everything, all that I've got. Like my project Tash BNM, I did a whole vocal for, I think, Afro Lo-Fi on my. No, I mixed the whole project on Ear Candy earbuds, Skull Candy earbuds. I mixed the whole project on that because I didn't have Audio Technica headphones, so I just used what I have. And yeah, and also very often when it comes to the tools, I think people also stick to the traditional way of doing things too much, and it kind of limits them. Like traditional way of doing things, you gotta have big cameras, you gotta have big mixers, some fancy sound interface and all that. But sometimes you don't need that. You just need the music, because the music is what connects to the people. And when it's right, people will feel it, even if it's not mixed properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think it's an over romanticized idea, or do you think there's truth in the fact that like when you don't have as much, it makes you even, I guess, more what's that word? more competent because you've had to really
Work
be
with what you have.
resourceful?
Yeah.
Or do you think that's kind of like it's easy to say that, but actually you just prefer to have the tools?
When nobody wants to do things with like no, like I don't think anybody wants to be uncomfortable. But when you find yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable, you got to make things work regardless. So there are no written rules on how to approach everything.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
But maybe there's a confidence that no matter what, you can still make some magic.
That
say.
there are times like it got to a point when I didn't have like a home studio. I would say, when I get a big home studio with a screen, man, I would multitask. I would do things crazy, and I got the big screen, and I'll still be looking on the laptop for everything because I'm so used to that. So I feel some things are overrated.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. I mean, too many tools as well that can take away from stuff. So, someone asked previously, where do you like performing the most? What's your favorite place to perform?
Perform
Yeah, or what's your favorite place to perform in? Or
Europe.
Europe.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
in Europe?
Where in Europe?
Yeah, yeah.
I think now I would say Lisbon.
Yeah, Lisbon's it.
Yeah, because the sound I do is in line with what's going on over there. But I like Berlin a lot because with Berlin there are spaces where the events are attended by people who are open, and even if they are not into the music that you are doing, they are not going to be like away. In Ghana, when people are not into the stuff that you are doing, they can just boo you to get off stage. And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I think people might be surprised to hear you say you'd like prefer playing in
Yeah.
European spaces and countries as opposed to Accra.
Yeah, but I
or
would
something
love I would
Ghana.
love to play more in Accra or some different places in Africa, but
Yeah.
we don't have the circuit yet to do these things.
Yeah, I think that's a whole question about sort of mobility and artists being able to travel across the continent, because it's a shame that when a lot of African artists want to tour, they think about North America or Europe, when actually it would be amazing for us to be able to tour.
Yeah, it's
like,
very
internally.
expensive to travel within Africa,
Yeah,
and also somewhat dangerous to go by land. So that's what I'm saying. We don't have the circuit yet, and the market is not there yet for, let's say, the stuff that I do, because people are used to pop music and mainstream music, and in Europe there are more artsy, spaces, and if you're an artist, you feel good when you're playing in these spaces.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I understand. I feel like it's a question of hopefully eventually in the continent
Yeah,
more
yeah,
space. and
it's
stuff
gonna
will
get
open
there.
up,
It's gonna get
hopefully.
there.
With people like yourself. Someone asked, okay, personality question. What's your star sign? No, it wasn't actually that. Do you consider yourself an extrovert or an introvert outside of your work? And can you elaborate on how you approach working with other styles that you're not familiar with? And that's from Phoenix Renew.
Okay. Yo, my personality is weird. Like I don't know.
True.
I don't know. Like I could be explosive 1 minute, I could be chill. I think I'm an ambivert, but my introverted side is more heavy than the extrovert part. Yeah, because I'm a little bit shy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I often get confused about what even an extrovert and introvert even mean.
Just the way I am. Like when I'm with you and we are, we can be boxing, we can be dancing, we do all sort of stuff, and there are some minutes where I'm just on my laptop, and I just want to be immersive in the internet and just it. So, and what was the last question?
And can you elaborate on how you approach working with other styles that you're not familiar with?
Other styles I'm not familiar with. I listen to a lot of different. I listen to different style of music, so it's like naturally I'm very in tune with things that I'm not familiar with already. Like I would hear a melody and I could also already capture the essence. And I think the ability to do this helps me to work with different style.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, yeah, because there was a point in time when you were really listening to Goa music. I
Yeah,
remember
I would like,
you were
yo,
really into
yeah,
Goa
yeah.
music. Yeah, I remember. Okay, so someone asked a question which I found quite interesting. This is from Gigi. So if you don't measure your success against pop music, I'm assuming maybe Afro pop, how do you measure it?
My success is to be able to feed my family, feed myself, buy the things that I want. I definitely there are some limitations sometimes, but success is subjective. You know, it's a cliche. The way I'm saying it is subjective, but for a guy like me, I don't need too much to survive. So the things that maybe someone would want to have, like the accolades, the awards, I don't need all those kind of stuff, but I want them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
but it's not something that I need. I can live without it. It's more about being impactful. And I think my success is when I know people are getting in touch and in tune with my art. Because the stuff that I know is something nobody's doing out there. So the fact that I have over 2,500 people constantly like coming to buy my stuff is success to me, you know? So, and sometimes you be on the internet, someone writes you on Instagram, yo, you are the reason why I'm producing. You are the reason why I DJ better now. You are the reason why my DJing style has changed and all that. And when I hear stuff like this, it's success. And that is something even pop artists also get, you know?
Yeah. No, I think this idea of like individual success, which could just be feeding your family or yourself, and also being able to just enjoy yourself, your money. It's like a sort of the lower end of the scale, then you have the bigger end of the scale, which is like accolades and awards and traveling the world. Andy McAllister asked an interesting question because I do refer to you as the king of Bandcamp because you kid it on Bandcamp, like you really are. Like you're just you and Bandcamp are like this, best friends. So someone said there are a lot of your more Andy McAllister said there are a lot more of your releases on Bandcamp than are available on streaming services. Do you prefer that method of distributing your music?
Yeah, I prefer to, because one thing I think we should know is every platform have like their target market, and streaming is for listenership. It's not more about, you know, I don't know how to put it, but like you want to hear more listenable stuff when you're streaming because you spend most of your down days streaming than, let's say, you are going for a jog. You spend more time being chill than working out, right? So the music that I make is very fast and like higher paced. So I feel like Bandcamp is a place where music lovers really come to collect music, and most of Bandcamp, the people that come to buy my music are DJs, and they can't download the audio from Spotify, but they can do that on Bandcamp in different formats, you know, MP3 wave. But with Spotify, you only stream the music and that is it. So I feel like the music that I think are more listenable, I put them on Bandcamp, and the music that I want to have like a very pop rollout for, I release them on Spotify.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, I get what you mean because Spotify definitely has impacted how we engage with music. It's a lot more passive, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
you just sort of have it in the background. You don't necessarily need to know what you're listening to.
Exactly.
Whereas like when I go to Bandcamp, I'm going to buy music.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
put all the personal text in there. Yo, guys, I was feeling this way. You know,
Your
you know,
diary,
every
yeah.
artist, like, especially when you grow up loving hip hop, you like the stories. You know, that's the whole. It's part of everything. So I feel like Bandcamp gives me the chance to tell my story the way I want to tell it, and also it gives me access to my fans
Yeah.
and people who are buying my music. And today, if the internet goes off or maybe streaming platform shuts down, I can set up a website and I have all the data of people who buy my music,
Yeah, yeah.
and I can start from scratch all over again. So it benefits me more than the streaming services, and the streaming services is more like a gay kept thing
Yeah.
where you gotta write a mail or submit your music to a playlist to someone who you don't even know, and this person can just be like, oh, I've received 10,000 emails, I can't give you a shot. And I don't want to put myself in that position, so I feel like Bandcamp serves me more.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like direct to the fans, and it also means that you guys you get a fairer cut of your your income from your
Yeah,
music.
yeah, I think you stream 1 million, you get like $4,000 as to per platform that you release the music on. A Bandcamp, you could sell like 500 units and you're already in $1,000.
Sorted.
You know, and but the good thing about streaming is you get that recurring person coming to stream the music more. You know, so let's say on Bandcamp you could make that $5,000 or $2,000 instantly, and streaming services you can make it like
Yeah.
different amount of times. But like everyone and their priority.
Yeah, sure.
Like I prioritize Bandcamp than any other platform.
Yeah, because also with Bandcamp you can't stream too many times, and otherwise you get a
Yeah.
message saying you should have to buy this.
Exactly.
But no, it's interesting how you use different platforms. And so Mark has asked, I enjoy how Mark put this. So, do you have an advice for producers that are coming from, let's say, a stiffer country? You can
Like
make of
my
that what you
country.
want. A stiffer country, or an area to develop in a non-limited way regarding music making.
First, you need your fundamentals, right? You need to study the Maslow concept of need. It's very important.
The
You
sorry,
need
what?
Maslow concept of need is very important if you are coming from a stiffer country, which means you need to get your primary needs first sorted. If your primary needs are sorted, you can be an artist. If your primary needs are not sorted, you need to follow the crowd and make some money. Then you can branch out to be your true self. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say would be the primary needs?
Your primary needs are like your shelter,
Okay.
your food, love,
Yeah.
you know, community, all these basic things. You have all those things sorted.
And is there such thing as advice on basically how to like loosen up? Like, can you advise on that?
Loosen up in what means?
Like, because I guess like if you come from a place where music making is a bit more rigid, maybe or musicality is more rigid, because that's also how I'm interpreting this question.
So right now, let's say predominantly Amapiano and Afrobeat is the main sound in Africa. And you want to do stuff like I do. You know, sometimes there's no arrangement style to what I'm doing. Like I don't have 4 bars, 16 bars. I'm not following that. I could feel like, okay, the 13th bar, I want to introduce a different phrase in the music, right? You can't do this you can't really be faster than the guy who's doing like the mainstream stuff, following the structures. You get me? So if you want to loosen up, I feel like it depends on your background. If you are someone with a lot of money, you could, you know, make music and not worry too much about how your ends are going to meet. I think you can loosen up and try and incorporate different things. But when you come from a background like myself, you want to play the system. So first, you blend in, then you become reclusive. After you've made everything that you want to make, if art is the most important thing for you to do. And sometimes you could also be mainstream and be super artsy and people love it. You know, but that thing is like 1 out of 100. You know, and me, I don't like to gamble.
Oh, so you play it safe?
No, I don't play it safe, but the thing is, gambling is not something that's it's even good for you trying to indulge in. Like indulging in gambling is not even good. You know, I don't play it safe, but I don't gamble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like calculated risks.
Yeah.
We got a couple more questions. I'm conscious about getting through as many as we can because we are really running out of time, unfortunately. So this is a quick question because I think it's relevant to now, and also you're interested in this topic actually. So do you see the NFT world as a possible space in the future for musicians?
Yeah. The tech behind NFT is very, very important for autonomy and freedom, because right now what NFT does is it's immutable. Anything you put online, no one could change it. You can't change it yourself. So people will see you in your truest form. And also the technology allows you to award your fans and people who are into your stuff in a way that traditional music systems wouldn't let you do, without, let's say, labels getting involved and trying to get a piece of the pie. So what NFT does, it connects you directly to the consumer.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of space to grow in NFTs.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what comes of it. So I think we're getting to a last. Basically, we kind of going to reflect upon this stuff. I saw a question which I guess might lead into some of the reflections. Like, just in your opinion, over your career, what are the sort of main points? Also, reflection that are needed to make sure to ensure like a successful collaboration or I guess a creative process from start to finish. Like maybe a few points that are like immutable truths.
Come again. The
Like,
question.
what are a few, looking at your career, sort of reflecting over what we've spoken about today, what are a few key points that we should all lean into that can ensure success in collaborations, in creation of music, in like your career?
Respect.
Yeah.
You gotta have respect. I feel like when you have respect, you know when something is too much. To back off a little bit, and you also gotta believe in your skills, because when you walk into a room and people don't see the confidence exuding out of your body, they can tell like you are going to waste their time, and you don't want people to feel like you're wasting their time. And I think these two things are the most important bits
Reflect and
to it. Yeah.
respect and confidence. That's really cool. And yeah, generally speaking, it's been a nice conversation. I've enjoyed
Yeah, I've
talking
enjoyed
to you,
myself too.
Gafachi. I think it's been cool to look at your creation process, look at how you approach collaboration, and the questions have been really interesting. I think you have new music coming out, right?
Yeah.
Sure, can I-
So I have my EP out today. It's a 2-track EP featuring all Brazilian collaborators: Bad Sister, Clap, and Mebate. I call him Mebate, but it's M3B8.
Okay.
They are all from Brazil, and because of soccer, I was so fascinated with Brazil, nearly obsessed. And I've always wanted to do stuff with Brazilian artists because I can see the resemblance between their music and what we have in Ghana. So I thought this collaboration would be a very important thing to do. So yeah, I worked on it for 2 years, kind courtesy of CTM, Lucas, my friend Lucas Walter, Bandicoot in Lisbon, alongside his friends, kind of helped me to finish just these 2 songs. And it took like over 2 years to finish it. And it's a blend of global club music, baile funk. There's a bit of psytrance in there. Yeah, and it came out today. You can find it on Bandcamp.
Love that.
Yeah,
Nice one. I haven't heard it yet. I guess we've been doing all this
I
today.
sent you an
so-
exclusive. Stop capping.
Ooh. No, but it's gonna Gafachi's music's always amazing. So
Yeah.